Father, we come to you this evening in prayer. We just thank you for the blessings you have given our nation and the leadership of that. And we just thank you for our medical staff who's been out in the front lines and taking care of our nation and our people. And we ask that you just keep your hand over our nation, our leadership, the president-elect, and guide and lead us, dear Lord. And we know everything's under your control. Let us take care of the business of our tribe today, and let us make good decisions. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Speaker. Shelley, roll call.
Yes, sir. Mike Shambaugh.
Here.
Harley Buzzard. Here. Keith Austin. Here. Joe Byrd. Aye. Julia Coates.
Here.
Sean Crittenden. Aye. Joe Deere.
Aye.
Mike Dobbins.
Here.
Kanan Duncan. Rex Jordan.
Here.
Daryl Legg.
Here.
Wes Snowfire.
Aye.
Dora Petzkowski. Here. Mary Baker Shaw. E.O. Smith.
Here.
Janice Taylor. Here. Victoria Vasquez. We have a quorum.
All right, good deal. If everybody's had a chance to review the minutes, could I have a motion?
So move.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. All right, let's start off with Human Services. Jennifer Kirby, our acting interim director. Are you there, Jennifer?
I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. We'll just start off with any questions. You have our report, and we'll go from there.
Is there any questions for Jennifer? Mr. Nofar.
Hey, Jennifer, I know you guys have been extremely busy since the last time we met. I know there was a lot of stir going on towards the end of last month, right before Christmas, about COVID relief checks that there was a lot of confusion going on, a lot of citizens spurring questions. Could you speak on that and what money that might have came from that they got confused over, or is there an issue in that department with where we're pulling these funds from?
Well, Councilman Nofar, if I might interject, I had this exact same conversation because I had some concerns too, and I had went to our chief of staff and asked him these same questions. He gave me some good answers. And Chief Staff, would you mind coming up and sharing with what you shared with me earlier? Did you hear that question, sir?
Yes, I did. Thank you. So a couple of things. And I want to go back and point through some of the history and some of the things that we've done that are direct benefits to our citizens. So in the last 6 months of the year, we have provided the tech education assistance to roughly 42,000 kids. And we had 50,000 applications, and we verified and certified 42,000 of those applications that were not duplicates. So per kid, it ranges. So $450 was the base on that. I'm sorry, $400 was the base on that for the tech assistance. And then we had clothing assistance that was either $150. So all 42,000 of those kids received $150. And then some of those that were income eligible received an additional $150, so that their total for those lower income was $300. And I don't have that exact number on how many of those that were lower income that received the additional $150. But so we also, for higher education, we provided technology assistance for 4,700 students. Elder safety assistance, we had nearly 30,000 elders over the age of 62 that applied that received the $400 worth of benefit. The utility assistance, we had 7,300 applications. Of those 7,300, we were able to validate and certify assistance for 2,700 elders for utility assistance. And then disability assistance, we served nearly 3,900 with $300. So I'm just going to add these up for you real quick. So in total, that was impact to 125,300 tribal citizens. In that same year, we would normally serve only 2,600 kids with clothing assistance. We would serve 1,400 elders with utility assistance. So normally we would only serve 4,000 people, but we served 125,300 with those direct programs. That's more than 30 times the normal volume that we would serve. And so the other aspect of the relief dollars that we put forth, we injected $5 million into our emergency assistance program. It was not an online application like the others. It was based on need. So outside of COVID, we would typically assist a citizen with emergency assistance. Counselor Taylor's house was flooded and all of her appliances were ruined. Her floors buckled. She's lost clothes. And she's got insurance, but she can't pay the deductible. So we help citizens out with that. Counselor Crittenden was cooking in the kitchen, had a grease fire, and the fire consumed his kitchen, and we helped them replace cabinets and some of the appliances. That's what traditional emergency assistance is for. So with this program, it's paper-based. It's based on need and emergency of people that may have been laid off, that they might have been, that their spouse might not have been able to work due to COVID and they were in the hospital for weeks at a time. Those were the things that we were trying to cover. It was trying to fill the gap and use those emergency assistance dollars to do that. And so we've served roughly 4,000 tribal citizens with this emergency assistance. We set aside $5 million. So far to date, we spent a little more than $2.8 million. And so with that being said, that's the summary of what we've done in the volume. It's 30 times the normal amount of work that we would normally do, but we did it in 6 months, if you factor that in. So human services, career services, education, we're all doing 30 times the amount of work that they would normally do in 6 months, trying to make sure that we got that closed out by the end of the year with the original deadline of 12/30. We didn't get that extension until 12/27, officially signed on 12/28, so essentially 2 days before the program was set to expire. So first off, I would like to apologize because I'd like to apologize to the chief and this council because I feel like a response that I sent to a council member got published on the internet and fed into this frenzy that it's a secret program. And I was actually in the process of trying to make sure that our communication plan was going out on our vaccination plan and that the elder utility payment checks were being validated and making sure that those are going out in a timely manner. So on the 16th, 2 days before the program was set to end, I responded and said, hey, please don't announce this to the world. I didn't want to go on Facebook. And here's the reason I said that. Was because I worked here in 2007, 2008 when we had the ice storms, and we did an emergency assistance program. We combined multiple applications, we worked across groups, and we set up a program, and people had to come into the complex and fill out a paper application. We'd write a check at that point. That program was so popular that we had chairs down every corridor, every corridor, on both sides of the hall. All the parking lots were full. We had people parking on US 62 on this shoulder, so this highway just out here. It was not a very safe environment. And so I was concerned that we were going to recreate that environment with the last couple of days of the year. And so I asked that you guys refer those individuals if it's a true emergency-based need, that something is catastrophic in their household. So that's that was my thought and my rationale, and I didn't communicate that very effectively. So obviously, since we now have the extension, what we'd like to do, and we've been working on, is retooling this program, taking it out of a paper-based application, making it more accessible to our citizens so that they can have better access to this program. It was just, you know, with those programs that I identified, we were still working through elders, we were still working through technology assistance, we were still working through the utility assistance, and then Human Services had the additional program of trying to provide that emergency assistance and take the applications and understand what their need is. And honestly, we had a couple of businesses that were very smart business people. They realized, hey, I can generate some additional revenue, and they were pulling tribal citizens out of the store and suggesting that they go out and get a quote on a washer and dryer, because you can get a free washer and dryer and a matching set of appliances from Cherokee Nation if you just get your quote. And so through social media, there were emails from employees at different establishments that burst out instructions on how to go get all this free stuff. And it was never really meant to be a program like that. It was meant to be a program to meet the needs of those that suffered the greatest, and we're trying to fill that gap. And so what our plan is to retool this program with the remaining funds, since we have the extension, and allowing those that have not applied for it before the opportunity to seek that assistance. It will be online application. We will process it similar to what we've done with the other programs. And so taking what we learned through that program, we hope to apply it with greater emphasis on efficiency and trying to limit the exposure, since we're at a point where state of Oklahoma had more than 6,000 cases over the weekend. So I appreciate your time. I hope that addresses any questions or concerns that you guys may have. So that's kind of where we are. And I will say, Jennifer was compiling a list. You know, we've made the commitment that we're going to honor and pick up for those that maybe might have called in or emailed or stopped by. So far, the Human Services team has identified 1,500 people that have not been served that we will be contacting to gather an application from them and make sure that they get their application considered for the benefit. Hope that helps.
Yeah, that was a concern of mine. I'm glad you went through all that. You know, I know that we've helped a lot of citizens through several different programs. It was just something that I had questioned about back in November when I started hearing citizens out of Adair County getting checks to apparently get new tires. So I'd sent that email and didn't get a response. And then once my phone started going so busy the last week that this program, you know, we put a cutoff date on it all of a sudden on the 18th, which was that Friday. So, you know, throughout the pandemic, there have been numerous citizens that I've come across, and I think all counselors have come across, that's either lost a job or lost income, and we really just didn't have anywhere to refer them to, not knowing that this was apparently, like I said, there was no guidelines in a program that I knew as a counselor to refer anybody to on situations that may have come up that was COVID related. So I just didn't like, one thing's for certain is trying to avoid it being any sort of political tool where we have bulks of finances, but you have to refer, it becomes word of mouth that you get referred in by a politician. So it becomes a very political tool. Whenever the only way the program is made aware of is that you had to call your council member, tell him a story, and then he would refer you in. So it was a very confusing aspect. I'm hoping that we get that cleared up. Sounds like we're already on the mends of working on trying to do that. And I think the biggest suggestion that I might have, or two big suggestions I might have, just because I know there's a lot of citizens that are confused. They got upset over it. I mean, my phone, since the last meeting, has been going nonstop since then, even to today, of people who are just finding out about it. There's a way. We are very communicative. We have a lot of different forums that we can communicate with people. And it may be difficult with such a small budget that we do have, and that account now left over, but at least to allow as many citizens to be aware that if they've had the guidelines, and I don't know what the guidelines were before, but the guidelines now, whether it's a mailer in the mailbox to make them aware of it, so that way they know it's not hidden from them. The other aspect of it, to me, would be up to date, or maybe just for the year 2020, on where we're at with the budgeting from the CARES Act fund, because we've had a lot of programs, but not a lot of budget modifications showing where that money's went and transversed to. So $5 million went into this program that was already existing, and I didn't see it go there, so I wouldn't know that it went in there for that additional program. I mean, we've all kind of known that if someone has a cutoff, notice on their utility or a bill when they're about to get evicted, that we say, hey, listen, Human Services, they do have some emergency situations to where if, you can qualify for that. All the stuff you're kind of hearing of all these different checks and what were they written for didn't fall in those guidelines, so it seems something completely different. And that's where I think that if we could deliver our citizens where we spent the money at for 2020 so far, how much went to this program, and I know that there's questionable expenditures through our C and B side that can come up later, but those are, I think, as transparent as we can be with these funds that we had, that the council unanimously approved the chief to administer on any programs that they thought they'd like to administer. Let's just make that available to the citizens so there's clarification on that, and can cause, there's a lot of confusion going on with what citizens thought. Someone got this much for that amount, someone didn't get this for that amount, no one knew about it. And that's just kind of a suggestion that I have, that those two things could be made just to make the citizens feel more at ease at what we're doing with these millions of dollars that was given to us on behalf of them to spend. So anyways, all right, appreciate it. Appreciate it, Chair.
Sean?
Yeah, first of all, I thank the administration for putting $5 million into a department that since August 2015, and I'm not by myself here, but I'm just going to talk about me. Every day, today, tomorrow, since 2015, here's the key word, I think. When people call me in need, that is where I send them. Ask Jennifer, who's one of the biggest pain in the rears you had since 2015. That's my go-to. And there was an email or two that we all, or some of us, my name was in there, that accused some of us of having a little secret club. Well, that might fly, but we all got an email or two, but I remember I got one in October. $5 million going into Human Services to help people through this time, COVID time. Well, COVID relief for people who hasn't been affected by COVID. There might be a guy in the cellar somewhere that I don't know about. We've all been affected by COVID. When I got that email back in October, I went, huh? Well, good. Then I moved on, because I knew after I went, huh, that's good, I'm going to get my daily calls and send them to Human Services. Good call, putting money in Human Services. To me, it never was a thing. It was just, you have a need? Yeah, go see Human Services. And I knew they were being more flexible, thank goodness. I got an elder that needed medicine cooled and needed a refrigerator. That turned into some emails, hey, call me if you didn't get this, and this program saying this, and it turned into, Sean, what's that refrigerator voucher? Well, Paul Crittenden and Debbie Crittenden, my parents, they're not rich by no means, if you know, but they got a dadgum good refrigerator. It wasn't meant for Paul Crittenden and Debbie Crittenden. It was meant for when they contact us or they have a need. I can't speak for any other county here, but Adair County's got my number, and they know where that little building is called Human Services, where to go when there's a need. This was no secret, guys, and that offended me when they said it was. This chief and administration, I don't work for them, they don't work for me. By golly, you put in more money in a department that I use every single day, good, good. More people will get help. Now, it did turn into everybody need a refrigerator, everybody needs a stove, everybody need tire. And I'll tell you what didn't help. There was a counseling group in Stillwell sent out, here's what you do. Go get your quote. Go get your quote. And you go down here. Go get your quote. People were sending emails to schools. Go get your quote. Go get your quote. Well, you know what? People like Paul Crittenden and Debbie Crittenden, like I said, didn't need a refrigerator. But if I'd have sent them down, they would have got in front of somebody who actually needed it. So, once again, I applaud that money getting put in there. It never was a secret to me. We're just sending people to a place where they have a need. And right now, that need has some things to do with COVID. My family's had COVID. A lot of people's had COVID. Just not everybody needs a stove. It wasn't intended for that. So, there's my little rant. Boy, I'm a songwriter. I have a bunch of stuff in here. Let's see. I used alliteration and a bunch of stuff, but, let me use this one deal. Give old George Strait a little credit. If the people of Adair County, they know me, they put me here. If they think I was trying to hide some kind of secret for political reasons or for whatever dadgum reason, I got some oceanfront property down at Peavine, and I'd like to visit with you. And I mean that from right here. Thank you.
Harley?
Yes, I just have a comment about it, Todd, or administration. Yes, I just have a comment about it because when I got the email from people that were getting these utilities, cook stoves and stuff like that, then I started getting calls because it had come in. And I can honestly say I did not know that money was out there for that. If they said, well, it was in Human Services Department, we've always had money in Human Services Department, but I didn't know it was all under income guidelines. That's what I went by. Nobody told me that you could just go down there and get it because if it's COVID related. I thought when people called me, yeah, we got money, but it's under income guidelines. I did not know about that. Councilor Crittenden said we put $5 million in it in October. I can't find that. Now, I did say we put $3.2 million in it in the end of October, but not $5 million. That's good. I'm glad we got to help people. I just wished I could have helped more people in my district. So now it sounds like we're going to have a policy out, Chief of Staff, and I'm happy about that. Everybody's treated the same, and everybody's on the same page, so appreciate it. Thank you all for your good work, because I know how it is to work in this administration. Not this administration, but the prior administrations I worked for, because I remember the ice storm that you talked about. And I know how that word goes about. So thank you for all your work, and I know you guys have tried your best. And leave it to me as a council member, I'll try my best to help my citizens in my community, but I just need to know. Thank you. Thank you.
Councilman Legg?
And definitely, I agree with everything that was said. I would really like for the remainder of this money that all the human services offices do the same identical thing. And I mean, the needs ain't going to be the same, but the execution of the funds should be the same. The issue was in Stillwell, I guess, a counselor from a different organization said they're giving out $500 grocery checks. Well, then my relatives in Salisal was calling me, how come we're not doing it down here? Well, I don't know, call Human Services. Human Services didn't know anything about what Stillwell was doing, and it just causes us grief, because we're trying to deliver a service and help our folks as well. But if the right hand don't know what the left hand's doing, it causes turmoil with all of us. And, this is where we're at now, because if the Salisal didn't know what was going on, then it was a secret Adair County program, or, it just keeps on steamrolling. So, and Jennifer, hey, you're inheriting a big program. I'm proud of you. I've known you for a long time, and I think you're an excellent person, and you're an effective leader. I've seen you in action. But maybe if I could give any advice at all would be make everything a little bit more uniform and make sure that all your departments know exactly what the other ones are doing, because it would just help everybody out.
Keith?
Regarding what Councilor Legg just said, part of what I perceived from the earlier days that I knew about this was that the whole benefit of this is it gave them flexibility. And that was part of the beauty of it, is it gave them flexibility. Instead of having to color inside the line so much, it gave them a little bit of flexibility. And that was part of what I was excited about this program. I will tell you, as Councilor Crittenden said, I too was not happy about being accused of being in the insider circle either, because the only messages I ever got were the same ones we all got. They were the all employees communications that went out and the press releases that went out. There was no secret communication that went to me regarding this. But once I learned that they did have substantially more funding, I knew that my folks would be able to get more help because we had more funding. More money means more help, pure and simple. So as I received those calls, I was able to, with confidence, direct them to Human Services, knowing that Human Services had some flexibility that they could work with. I know that there was the false information, false news, fake news, if you want to call it that was put out there, that certain council members were on the insider circle on this. It's patently false. And it cannot be allowed to stand. That cannot be allowed to stand as the truth, people. We did not get special information, those who were accused in that email. I read my emails, and I suspect Councilor Crittenden did. Councilor Crittenden shared the fact that we all got email back in October on some of this. And that's how I learned about it, was through my email that was addressed to all of us. It wasn't addressed to me. So I know that email went out to all of us. It is imperative for us as tribal leaders to not purposefully misinform the population. That we are watching a mess in Washington, D.C. this week that is a direct result of misinforming the population. And we cannot go down that path as tribal leaders. We have to tell our people the truth. And the truth is, this was not a secret program. The truth is that this program we were all notified in the same way. So that's all I want to say is we are not, it is totally unfair to say that we somehow had a secret program only for certain council people.
Speaker?
Yes, I think the solution to this is, I like everybody's comments there, but Councilor Legg pointed out that we need to do the same in every district. That way, I know the needs are going to be different, but if we have a uniform set of programs of what we're going to be doing in each district, then I think it'd make the communication part that much easier. And anytime we send out information to the council members, there's numerous emails that we get throughout the day and throughout the weeks and throughout the months. Always CC Gail Miller. That really helps, because if you just give it to council members and not Gail Miller, sometimes we will not get that information. But if you give it to Gail Miller, I assure you that we will be notified. Have you read your email about this program? So that's all I say. It's a great program. We're very fortunate we can insert $5 million into this program to help people. I mean, that's really a good deal. There's many counties and states and tribes would love to have the opportunity on how we're helping our people. So it's a good thing that we have this, I won't call it a problem. It's just a little bit misunderstanding. Better communication will take care of it all. So thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Chief of Staff.
Janice?
I just want to say that we were all in this meeting months ago when Marcia said, send them to us. Even if you don't think they're going to fit into a specific pocket, send them to us. And the issue is, if somebody was laid off for 2 weeks and they didn't have any income, they might not need food. Maybe they do need tires. We have no control over what they spent their money on. So it wasn't a tires program or a refrigerator program. It was a COVID-related program, and each constituent used it for the needs that they had.
Councilman Nofar.
I think really to that point was just that we had to refer them in, and I was just wanting to make sure that we have it public. Council members, I know we always refer people over there, and I know people like Councilor Critton down there stay extremely busy, and I mean, I have a pretty busy district myself, but I know it's nothing like it is over there in Adair County, and I know kudos for you for all the work that I know you do over there trying to refer as many people as you must get to your local community office, and thanks to the Human Service Department for all the work that they do. It is a daunting task through all the work that I'm sure that they've had to undergo this past 6 months, just like Todd Enlow had said. One question I did have on, that's something that Jennifer might have. What is the CARES Act welfare assistance program? I don't know if she heard that or not.
Jennifer, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm a little slow these days in my reaction time because I'm trying to go through all of the different types of programs that we have. That may be related to our BIA funding. I would not know maybe where that particular name comes from. We did get some CARES Act funding for our BIA programs, which is basically programs that have been here for years within Human Services. So I'm not really sure where that specific name comes from. Those are terms that BIA has used. Welfare assistance, we don't necessarily use that for anything currently. Is that maybe what you're referring to?
Yeah, it says a welfare avoidance grant under the CARES Act for welfare assistance and social services, including assistance to individuals. It was a one-time thing that we passed back in November. I think.
Yeah, that was our additional BIA funding, which you all have probably heard the term GA for many years. General assistance, which is, what a lot of our staff will, because they've only known the BIA, general assistance, and that refers to if someone is pending disability and they don't have any income coming in, if they haven't had any income that month, basically for the month that you want to apply for, you have zero income. I know there are several people that we have to clarify that with because there's a certain time frame and they have to have zero income coming into the home. If you have children, then we have to refer you to the TANF program. So that takes the place of that with us. But most of ours are people that we serve who are on disability or who have a pending disability, are not able to work, so they do oftentimes have to turn in a medical form. And we are fortunate enough to get extra funding through the CARES Act for those people. But again, there's so many other regulations too that they would have to meet those in order to take part in that money. And that also there were some burial assistance funds that went to. Any of our programs that fall, if someone has a burnout, as we call it, or a natural disaster, which was some of those things that we experienced a lot of last year with the different tornadoes and things that come about. Just extra money was put into those programs. And believe me, we are still operating those programs alongside any extra other funding or other programs that come in through Human Services.
Okay, so it falls. So this CARES Act welfare assistance program falls under our general assistant budget.
Yes, which is
Which is what we could have used for the COVID relief, or is that going to be something separate? Are those two separate budgets?
Yeah, it's totally separate. Mm-hmm.
Okay, All right, that was just kind of the confusing part of which one we did on our budgets there. Okay, all right, appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Sean?
And while I'm thinking about it, like the burial money you just said, like the GA money, now, no matter what you call that, right? We're the people that they're gonna contact if they're out of work, right? And if they come in the complex, Todd, if they run into you and say, hey, I'm having burial assistance problems, someone passed away, who are you gonna direct them to?
They're gonna go down to Human Services.
All right, so
Welcome down there.
GA, even though there's more money out there called something, it's a day in the life of us. You know, burial. Hey, you need to go see Human Services. If they had $0, that's where I'm gonna send them, or if they had more dollars, you know, and that's what I was trying to get at a while ago. It's just another day in the life of us. Whatever you call that pot of money they've got, the people I send down there have a better chance of getting more help. So, you know, and I just wanted to clarify that this wasn't an Adair County deal. That $5 million wasn't put in Adair County. It was all over, right? And but anyway, I appreciate what all you guys do here, because we're kind of, you know, we'll have a bond one of these days if you've ever been on council with someone and the different things we go through. But again, I wanted to be real clear. There was nothing out of the ordinary except more help. And if, you know, believe me, if there is a fire, if there is a burial, if they don't know me, they're going to find their way up here. And like I said, anybody is going to point them right down there. But anyway, thank you for that.
Anybody else? EO?
Yeah, I'd just like to say, Human Services, there's no problem that hit harder than this bunch here. And Human Services, nobody's been hit harder with phone calls and everything, and the human service people are wore out. I mean, they're beat down. And there's not a day goes by that I don't give at least the number out 8 times. I've got it memorized. I'd like to see something that maybe we either get more help or maybe put some of the other programs somewhere that it's not so hard and not so hard on everybody. I'm just saying they do a good job, but they're just overwhelmed with, in regular times, I bet it's okay, but right now it's just, they're just overwhelmed, and we need help, because I have so many people call back and say they can't get through. So I would like to see us eliminate that problem somehow. But they do a great job. Thank you.
Okay, I have a couple of comments to make. I'll get you, Chief of Staff. Good words by a lot of different councilmen, I mean, and they're all true. And I guess I have to put I got lumped in that category too about this secret fund. And you know, the bad thing is when I start getting texts from people asking me why I'm hiding money from them. Why didn't I tell them? And I have no idea what they're talking about. And I go back and I see a fund, money that was put into a fund that has never been anything but this fund. This was made for, there's nothing different about this. This is the same program we've always had. We just got some supplements to it. And after, you know, it takes 10 minutes to explain what's going on, and then they're like, Councilman, I appreciate that information. I did not know that. And I apologize. You know, but to me, when I sit here and listen to everybody basically saying the same thing, I am a little offended about this. But I also, a real golden lining that I see is you got a guy that came in and sat there and said, look, you know, there's some things that we can do better in this program. I mean, and I apologize, I should have done this better. I mean, that's exactly, as a councilman, what I wanted to hear, because, you know, dealing with things that we've never dealt before, Human Services, I gave you stinking 15 or 20 pages of names. I know you guys were sick of me. And I got 180 some calls in 2 days about this 400 and this 1,200. And I believe last week, the last 1,200 payments went out. So this was something totally that we weren't prepared for. It was a great program. We didn't put enough people into it, but you know what? We learned from it. Next time we're going to be better, and we will do it better. So now that it's been held up, and you guys are going to regroup and look at it, and you're going to say, how do we make this better? And that's exactly what I asked our chief of staff, is that what you're doing? He said, absolutely what we're doing. We're going to see what we can do to make this program better, you know, if we start it up again. And that's exactly what has to happen. But I will say this. I was very disappointed the way things have went down, because I don't see it, the negativity of this being a big negative secret thing. I never saw it happening this way. And I can tell you this, I can tell you by heart, Cindy, 918-253-4219. I cannot tell you how many people that I've given that number out. That's where they go. And every person who calls that can't get through to Human Services, I make the call myself to try to do it. You know, I made a call staff about this, and it says that, you know, all COVID relief programs are officially terminated and shut down. And that's basically all it says. And to me, I found that a little abrasive, because I knew after talking with Chief of Staff that the reason why they've been shut down is they're to be reevaluated, and they're going to do things to make it better. My suggestion was that should have been exactly what should have been on that message. Hey, we're going to come back better, we're going to do a better job next time, and we're going to do what we can to help more citizens. I mean, that's what our people need to hear. They don't just need to hear that, hey, it's shut off, it's over. You know, I think so. The communication can be better, but I do respect you guys a ton for coming back and saying, hey, this is where we were short, and this is how we're going to fix it. I appreciate that so much, and I think our people appreciate that. That's all I have. Chief of Staff?
Just a couple of quick closing items. So, Councilor No Fire, on the questions you were asking about that welfare program, there's a lot of strict requirements on some of those, so it wasn't part of the master pool of coronavirus relief funds that we got. There are buckets of money that we received, some from IHS, some from BIA, that were very specific structured items. And so that's kind of what Jennifer was talking about there. And then this application, I've already got the test application online, and we're testing it out and making sure we're asking all the questions that we need to make sure that we can validate this. And we're also working on the process on the back end, so that, to the council's point of making sure it's consistent, is that there will be a two-factor approval process. And so making sure that those things are carried out correctly, regardless of where they are. And then the other thing I would like to point out and just let you guys know, I did some quick analysis last week. Of that $2.8 million, every county inside the 14-county jurisdiction was touched. And it was, surprisingly, it was pretty equal. There were a few counties that had maybe less than $10,000 associated with it. There was only one county that did not have a single dollar spent in it, and that was McIntosh County. And it's simply because I think geographically, because of the waterway and what portion of that county we actually have, I think there's only like less than 100 citizens that live in that area of the jurisdiction. So hopefully, when we announce this, we'll get somebody from McIntosh County and get those 100 folks advised of it. But I did want to assure you that that money was distributed to citizens across the board. And Councilor No Fire, to your point, Treasurer Scott is working feverishly to make sure that the reporting requirements are met with Treasury, and making sure that all of those are delineated. And she is working on getting a report not only to this body, but also the people to show where the money has gone. And it's a pretty daunting task, and as you guys know and can imagine, I told somebody it's like giving this entire body a Lego set and say you have 10 minutes to build the Lego set. And then while you're going through that in 10 minutes, in that 10-minute window, in the first minute I say, okay, change of plans. You really can't put any of the red Legos next to blue Legos, even though that's what the rules say in your chart. You're supposed to assemble it, but you can't put the red ones next to the blue ones. And then a minute later I say, okay, well now wait, you can't put any white ones next to the red ones either. So you can't do any of that stuff. And oh yeah, by the way, you can't use your left hand when assembling this. And so that's what we've dealt with a lot of times with the Treasury guidance and the things that were going on, is the rules were changing sometimes on a weekly basis. And so Treasurer Scott has been very frantically trying to make sure that the expenditures are necessary and due to COVID, that they're allowable and that they're justifiable, and that they meet the greater good on behalf of the Cherokee Nation. So you will have that, I think, by the end of the month, I believe, if I'm correct, sir.
Okay, we are running very short on time, but
Thank you
this
very
is
much.
something that really needed to be addressed, and I appreciate all of your comments and input, and Chief of Staff, thank you, sir. Billy Hicks is sitting in for Michael Lynn. Michael Lynn's a little down. Jennifer, thank you. Billy, you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
You have our report. I will be brief. If you have any questions, I will try to answer them for you.
Anybody have any questions for Billy? One quick comment. Thank you the other day for helping that family with the dialysis and the well.
You're sure very welcome.
All right, thank you, sir.
You
Jerry Killer, are you there? Jerry Ann?
I'm here.
All right, what do you got for us real quick?
This is our last week of college housing apps for the spring semester. So if you have anyone, make sure that they get those apps in this week. Other than that, if anyone has a question, I'll take it.
By when, Friday?
Friday, yes. 5 o'clock Friday.
Anybody have any questions? Sean?
Hey, Jerry, thank you for hitting the ground running, being accessible. I've already pestered you quite a bit. My question is for lack of a better term, the handyman van, is that still in the works?
It is still in the works, yes. Getting the material to get the van stocked has been our holdup. Everything, of course, is behind in production and everything,
Yeah.
so we should be ready to go with that very soon.
Hey, just give us an email, let us know. We'll all be using that, dude.
Will do.
Thank you.
Janice?
Jerry Ann, I had reached out to you a few weeks ago regarding a constituent that is getting a replacement home built. They moved out in mid-October and nothing has been done yet. So I'm a little put out with that. If you could just keep your thumb on that. I mean, they've been out of their house for 3 months and there hadn't been anything done.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll follow up on it. Yep.
Anybody else? All right, Jerry Ann, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Anna Knight, are you there? I see your name. Anna, can you hear me? You might be muted, Anna. How about now? Anna, can you hear me? Yeah, we might make it a prerequisite.
I was going to say, if she's unable to connect, I'd be happy to take any
Okay.
questions that you
Does
may
anybody
have.
have any questions for Anna's department? Okay, that'll do. Anna, if you can hear me, we'll see you next month. Thank you. Okay, old business, none pending, new business. Councilman Legg, will you read that first resolution?
Resolution authorizing the grant
We have a first, we have a second. Rex seconded. All in favor? All opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, Councilman Velasquez, would you take the next one?
BIA to revise and update the Cherokee Nation's inventory of tribal transportation facilities. Move for its approval.
All right, before we vote, both of these need to go to full council tonight.
Yes.
So are we good on the first? Okay. All right, we have, did somebody second that? Okay. We have a vote now. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Both pass, full council tonight. Any announcements? Chief Staff?
Yes, I failed to mention, and I realized as soon as I walked out, we will have that application up and online that I was referring to for Human Services, the emergency assistance. We should have it out by the 25th of this month. So we're in testing. I was saying that earlier, and I failed to deliver. The punchline was we should have it available by the 25th. So I'll keep you guys surprised of how close we're getting and when we get ready to announce it. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, I need one more. Second? All right. All in favor? We're closed.